Good evening, America. Good evening. It's 12 o'clock on a Saturday, and y'all know what we do on 12 o'clock on a Saturday. At 12 o'clock on a Saturday, we have the Watch Dogs. The Watch Dogs is a show where we go in depth on issues concerning our community. And this week's tough issue is uh, the school bus drivers. The school bus drivers are having some problems, and we want to see whether they can be resolved. We have a bunch of people here, and one or two more that's supposed to be coming on to talk about the concerns and issues at the school as that concerns all the school bus drivers. We have Mr. Jerome Irvin from the Central Labor Council. We got Miss India Washington. She's a bus monitor. Mr. Isaac Ellison, he's a bus driver, I believe. And we got the head man here, Mr. Kendrick Banks. He's the rep for the local Teamsters here, I believe. And he's a school bus monitor also, not monitor, supervisor. So we're going to get started. The other two people, I guess they'll be in a minute, a rep from the Georgia Teamsters, 728, Ms. Vicky Beavers. She'll be on after a while, I believe. So let's get started, and we'll go get straight to the meat of everything. We got a bunch of comments. Y'all are popular this morning, I tell you. We got Mr. Kendrick Banks. You can tell us the backstory and tell us why we're here, sir.
Yeah. Well, let me first of all say I'm not a supervisor. I'm just a driver, and I'm a union rep.
Okay.
For the drivers. The backstory basically is communication. We have a bunch of drivers and monitors that don't feel safe on the buses. As you know, we're dealing with this pandemic, and there are a lot of information and procedures that we have to kind of figure out on our own because the communication isn't that good. And so a lot of the issues that you're going to be hearing about today are going to be coming from drivers and monitors with their everyday experience during this time of pandemic and the reasons why we don't feel safe.
Okay. So we'll be talking about those things. Mr. Irvin, I don't know what happened to somebody went out. He went out just now. Yeah, I know you got an unsteady cable, and that's the other reason I wanted y'all to be on computers, because their phones will go out on you all the time. Excuse me. So okay, Mr. Irvin, you from the Central Labor Union Council. What role do you all play in this?
Well, basically, we're here to support all labor. We've been in the fight with bus drivers since the beginning, and one of the things that we deal with is trying to solve the problem when there is a problem. There's no perfect job, nowhere. If it was a perfect job, there would be no need for the unions. But then when the workers come together, a lot of issues they can solve. So as they come together, and as these drivers are coming together, we can't do nothing else but support them. We have to be there for them and be there and to help them and guide them along the way.
Oh, okay. And so you all, y'all are part of the Teamsters Union also. Here go Miss Vicky here. Hello, Miss Vicky.
The Teamsters are part of the Labor Council. We have 46 unions here in this area that are part of the Labor Council. That's how strong we are, 8,500 members.
Okay, that's a lot of people. Okay, and let's introduce Ms. Vicky Beavers. You can tell us what role that the Teamsters is playing, Ms. Vicky.
Thank you. I'm Vicki Beavers. I'm business agent for the Teamsters, Teamsters Local 728. I am a representative of the school bus drivers here in Savannah. The school bus drivers organized approximately back in 2008, still going strong even after the board has taken them in. So we represent the school bus drivers. We've developed a relationship with the Board of Education. We don't operate under a contract, but they recognize the Teamsters as the representatives for the union representatives for the school bus drivers, monitors, and some mechanics. Prior to the board taking them, we had close to 400 drivers that were organized. Since then, since the board has taken them over, many have left, no longer with the board. And so, you have, I think they're down, from what I understand, to about 170 school bus drivers.
170 school bus drivers. That's a lot of drivers taking these kids. 37,000 students they have to take to school. Some walk, but roughly over 30,000 students that you have to take to school every day. And that's how they have to get to school. There's no other way for them to get. That's why they came up with the bus system. So you all are critical, essential workers that the school system really needs and relies on. So just like the kitchen workers, they got to feed the kids. Just like the custodians, they got to clean the schools. So the teachers are just in the middle there, and then you have the administrators who are getting paid all the money. So they have to look at these issues, because without you all, nothing can happen. Mr. Ellison, is there anything you wanted to add to this?
I'm just here to show my face for the drivers that's scared to actually come to the meeting. It's a whole bunch of them that's scared, but I'm here to tell them we are together. We should stand together for this cause, because we want our voices to be heard clearly and loudly. We want them to respect us in the long term and know not to do anything wrong to us, and we will stand together. So that's why I'm here, to show my support to the ones that scared and won't do it, to let them know that I'm not scared and I'm down for anything. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, and Miss India, you are a bus monitor, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and we'll be getting to your issue after a while also, because I understand that you have an issue that you want to talk about concerning safety. So we're going to talk about the main issues that you all are bringing up of concern to you all with the school system. Kendrick, did you want to talk on this and tell the people what the issues are? And we'll talk about in the end, after we discuss the issues, whether there are any resolutions that we can, recommendations to resolve all this. Is he froze? Kendrick?
No.
Oh, he muted.
Yeah,
Let me see if I can unmute you. Okay. Oh, no. Hold on. Let me see if you can okay, there you go. You good. Kendrick?
I'm having issues hearing.
Okay, we hear you. Can you hear us now?
I can hear you a little bit. Go ahead.
Okay, tell us what the issues are, and then we'll let everybody, if they have they want to talk on those issues. Then I know you said you had 3 issues that you wanted to get resolved, and they were safety, wages, and retirement. If you want to talk about it, go ahead and talk.
Okay. First of all, is safety. We want to make sure that we're doing everything that they're doing everything in their power to make sure that the environment on the buses are safe. Um, we feel like there's been several suggestions that we put out. Myself, Ms. Beavers, who works very tirelessly to bring information to the board on a consistent basis. She emails just about at least 3-4 times a week, giving them information about other districts and all of that, and we just don't get the movement. At the top, we talked to some senior officials, and there seems to be some receptivity. But when it goes beyond that point and it gets to the middle management and lower management, the effort is not the same. We get varying answers when it comes down to different situations, like whether the PPE is for drivers or whether the PPE is for the community. We had to have a meeting, and it was first established that the PPE wasn't even for the drivers, that it was for the community. But after having a conversation with Ms. Kagler, she quickly rectified that situation and informed us that the PPE were in fact for the drivers. But again, there was a disconnection in communication, because it wasn't until that meeting that they began actually handing out all of those PPEs and making them readily available. The board has installed hand sanitizer on all the buses and all of that, but upon returning, there could be instances where you have a dispenser on the bus, but then there's no hand sanitizer in the dispenser. And for a while, that stuff wasn't being passed out, and until people started, asking for it, and so I mean, there are just some steps that we feel like that they should have taken from the onset of returning, that we just didn't feel like that they did. And so that's my main concern with safety, even with clocking in procedures. And we sent several ideas to them about what we could do to make clock in safer. And it wasn't until recently that they even moved on that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is not a bash the board session, because I want you to know the most important part of this whole communication is communication. And the only reason that we're even on this is because we as drivers and monitors of Chatham County feel like we don't have a place to even voice our opinion, because it's not given to us by the board. Even when we have meetings, there's not space for the drivers to really concern and voice opinions. And so we're putting it out there now and being a voice for our drivers, because we want our issues to be voiced. So along with the PPE and the supplies and just all of the clock in and everything that we sent as far as setting up a safer environment, we just didn't get any movement until we talked to a reporter. We talked to a reporter, and all of a sudden, before the story even hit, and I don't think that reporter that we talked to, the story ever even really hit, but they got back in contact with the board. And what happened was they began making a lot of moves they should have been making from the beginning. And so it kind of infuriates you to know that, okay, you have the capability to mobilize in the moment of worrying that stuff was going to get out, but it wasn't important to you enough at the beginning to come up with issues and solutions to keep it safe. I believe we had suggested to them a long time ago that people get tested before they came back to work as a whole, but nothing ever, we didn't receive any response. And that's a part of the issue. When we do send information, when we do ask for solutions, when we do send issues, the response time is crazy. and so we left to kind of figure things out on our own, and that's a major problem. The kind of material that we have for the buses, as far as the sanitizer is concerned, there a lot of the drivers don't feel comfortable with this spray bottle that they supply us at the board. Some of the complaints that I heard is that they don't trust it because it looked like it's just water. It has no smell, it makes no fizz, and so they feel like it's just water in a bottle. Whereas there is Lysol in offices of administration and supervisors in the building, and so a lot of the drivers are wondering, well, if the spray is so good, why do you have the Lysol in your office? And so I think a lot of the drivers would feel real comfortable if we could get some of that Lysol aerosol on the buses. And so anybody else can feel free to jump in right here. Those are just some of the major issues. And I really like to hear from India because in this format as a monitor, because even as the drivers, right, we're in the driver's seat, and yes, we get really, when a kid get on the bus, that 6 feet distance is automatically eliminated, because as soon as they walk on the bus, they're already within range. So there's no separation there. But what's even more detrimental is that monitors are in the back with the students. So I'd like to hear from India about some of her experiences and about being a monitor in this time.
India, did she's
India?
Still there? Okay, she's coming on.
You gotta unmute her phone.
She's on mute.
I'm here. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you repeat what was said?
Yeah, India, I just want you to speak to, your experiences and concerns about, being a monitor in this pandemic, environment. And one more thing before she say that, there have been a lot of situations that come up that haven't been addressed as far as procedural protocols, as far as if a child gets on the bus and they vomit and have bodily fluid, how do you react to that? Because certainly you can't treat bodily fluids like the same as you would before the pandemic, being that this pandemic is an airborne virus. And so there haven't really been any clear protocol as to how you deal with those situations. And I think that's totally problematic when we're dealing with precious cargo that we're dealing with, not only the students, but the monitors, the bus drivers, the teachers, everybody involved. This thing touches the whole community. And that's another concern, just safety protocols. What are they? Okay, Miss India, go ahead and tell us about your experiences as a monitor.
And that's exactly my concern right there. Being as though we are hands-on with the kids, we need a better understanding as to how do we handle kids who vomit on the bus. How do we handle that? My concern is if we're solely focusing on how to protect the drivers, as far as what shield they'll have, how do we protect the monitors? What exactly will be put into place to protect us? So that is my main concern, because we are so hands-on with the kids, because we have to make sure that they put on their masks. We have to make sure that they're staying in their seats. Before the pandemic, we were truly hands-on with them. So how do we move forward as far as taking care of the monitors?
So that's your biggest concern, is that. So you come even closer, India, to the students than the bus drivers, because you're right there with them. You have to monitor all of them. Do you sit all the way in the back, or you have to go up and down the aisle with
them? Well, before the pandemic, it was an up and down type of thing. So, and we are in the back. Sometimes we're in the middle of the bus. That way we can kind of monitor both back and front. So, yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, Vicky,
So
Ms.
Julius,
Beavers.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
So what exactly what kind of pressure can the Teamsters put on the management to make them be in compliance with the safety of these workers?
I think they're already doing it because you got to remember you can't make us third party. They are the Teamsters. So I believe they've gotten off to a place where they're, the first thing that we did when we contacted the reporter, then we started seeing some movement. Now we would see things here and there. But let me jump back and say this. Because I had a meeting with Dr. Levette and Ms. Kagler on yesterday. To me, they can name off all the things that they're doing. Oh, we did this, we did that, we did this, but it's not happening. So there's a total disconnect, and that's what we keep trying to explain to them. You have a communication problem, and you have a total disconnect from the top to the lower management area. So you can say you got all these things to protect the drivers. In actuality, you may, but the drivers don't have them. So you have to get your heart down there on that lot. I said your heart, because it's one thing to say, the question was asked to me, what happens if a 16-year-old, because one of the demands or the requests that the drivers have is they want to be able to take the temperatures before the children get on the bus. So one of the questions that was asked to me, well, what do you do when a 16-year-old has a temperature? So are you expressing to me that it's okay for that student to get on the bus? Because that's what I was hearing. And I said, no, because you guys are not, y'all are not down there with these students. Nobody's driving these students around. These school bus drivers are. So you can't expect them to do something that you're not comfortable doing. So when you say you got all these bags, they have masks, they have this, they have that. Because the question I put to the drivers before we move forward, what are you not getting? Because every time I put forth the information to the board, I do see movement, but something's wrong because everybody's not getting it. Everybody doesn't have PPE. Everybody, you have your managers and your supervisors, they have different instructions. I had a guy go up to the trailer one day and ask for another mask, and he was told no. So what's the problem? The biggest problem is communication. If you have this stuff, put it out there. Talk to your drivers. Talk to your monitors. And that's the problem. But they cannot expect for these drivers and monitors to put themselves in unsafe situations and do things that they would not do. When you tell a bus driver to clean up the vomit, for real? And then, first of all, you're not going to get on my bus with a temperature.
Right.
Let's just say this. Yeah.
It's only about 9 weeks left in the school term anyway. So the rush to put those kids back in school because they have to have those kids in school, I don't know. I'm not even going to say that it's not. It's a money thing. And to put us out there and we're front line is extremely ridiculous. We're monitors on the bus. We have no temperature gauges so that we can check the temps of these students. We don't have the proper PPE so that we can make sure that if anything was to happen, we are able to protect ourselves as well as the other students that's on the bus. So rushing this school term when we're about to get out is just strictly ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I think that if they, y'all safety should be priority number one. Everybody's safety should be priority number one. Number one. It shouldn't be no question about it. Safety is number one. And everything that y'all do they should be out there making sure that it's safe, because the students got to get to school. You know, what we got to have is people, when you get in these jobs and you have a job and you making $100,000-$200,000 a year, 150, you seem to drown out that the little people, you know, not calling y'all little, but you're on the lower level of the pay scale. And people got to understand, if you can spend all this money doing all this bull crap and building $100 million schools, those schools aren't any good unless you got somebody to fill them. And you got to have the kids to get to school. So y'all safety is number one. I'm not against the school board. Y'all know my wife is a school board member, and she's a big a proponent of y'all safety, and she's on y'all side as far as I know with y'all's concerns. Because one thing for sure, are there any elected official here? You got 5 or 6 that really cares about what they do and what happens with how they govern. And when I can tell you, when Tanya Howard Hall walks out the door, all she cares about is those 37,000 students and those 500 or 600 employees that the school board have. And that's all that she's concerned with. She doesn't concern with her job, or staff. All she cares about is what's going to happen with the school system. And that's what we got to get people to take the politics out of it. That you all's safety, you know, people can die. People are dying. You're gonna have almost 500,000 people die from this thing. So I don't think that they need to spare any monies on safety. Whatever needs to be done, they need to do. On the other issues,
let me say this. Let me say the question that was asked to me yesterday by Dr. Levette. She asked me, was it that, what is the problem? This is the disconnect. What is the problem? Is it just that they do not want to work? Is that they don't want to go back to work? They don't want to drive? I said, absolutely not. They just want to work safe. Same thing everybody else wants. They just want to work safe. So I think we all would agree that the biggest concern that's going on right now is safety. A lot of things, even though they say they've been doing these things all in, I do this, I do that. A lot of those things, I have the emails to prove it. I've had to request that those things get done. And a lot of times they were not done until those emails got sent. Maybe Ms. Kegler thought they were being done, but they were not. So the biggest concern is, and that's what I explained to her yesterday. I get it. All that sounds good, but guess what? It's not happening.
Okay. And so we know that safety is a bigger problem. So Kendrick, the next thing you had on your list, you had 3 things that was of concern, and the second one was wages, wasn't it?
You got that.
You're muted.
Unmute.
No.
Your mic isn't working on the laptop that you tuned in with. You probably need to go back to the other device. Okay. Well, that was one of the concerns, and it was wages. Miss Beavers, you can are you familiar with that concern also?
I'm gonna say when you talk about the wages. Wait a minute.
Somebody need to mute.
So when it talks about when you're talking about the wages, I think the highest salary that's being paid to the drivers is somewhere around maybe $22 an hour. Okay. What you've ran into through the pandemic is the cutback on the hours, because a lot of the drivers used to be able to pick up a lot of their monies through extra work, and they're not able to. So when the pandemic hit, that put a lot of hurt in the pockets of the drivers. But one of the biggest things that hurts, everybody can always ask and want more money, so don't get me wrong there. But their payroll system is just so messed up. It doesn't help the drivers when it comes to their income. By the time they take out the reserve pay and the way they calculate the earnings, it's just really messed up. It's too confusing. When we first, I think it was about 3 years ago, they started talking about they were looking to change the way the payroll system is done. The way it is done now, say you work 40 hours, you don't see 40 hours on your check, right, y'all?
Oh, you don't?
Right.
No, you don't see 40 hours. You see your base rate of 25 hours, and
And
they
then the
divide,
remainder of it goes on the next pay period.
goes on the
That's how
next
it
pay
happens.
period. Yeah, and you're only getting paid twice a month. How you don't understand how you would not even just want to fix that, because you lost a lot of drivers based on that. Put that payroll system together where they could at least have more money in their pockets when pay period comes. But they're having to wait, take base pay $25, 25 hours, then a portion of the other, and then another portion goes on another part of the paycheck. So it may, if you do overtime, it may be 2 paychecks down the road before you see that overtime. That's ridiculous in 2021. You can't tell me they can't do better.
Yeah.
Right now, Kendrick,
Right.
you have something to say?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the problem. Let me tell you how communication is. This has been an issue since 2016. We went to the board with this several times at the beginning, 2016, when they took over, and it has been a constant issue throughout all of this time. So either there is not a willingness to do it, or just don't care. Now, we've heard that they've made some moves towards doing some things and making some different changes and all of that, but that's been since 2016, and nothing has changed. We've lost a lot of drivers, as Miss Vicky was saying, and a lot of good drivers due to how the pay scale is. You can look at somebody and they can be making good money per hour, but it doesn't equate to that in a check.
Right.
Like she said, because it's so split up, and then and so it's crazy. And then the other thing with the pay is, they haven't said anything to the drivers about any kind of hazardous pay.
Right.
And we've talked to them about it. We've told them, and this is where I want people to understand: the union is not trying to be an enemy of the school board. The union is trying to be a partner with the school board, because we both want the same thing. We want our employees and the people that we represent to be the best in this county, the best in this in Georgia. That's what we want. But in order to do that, we got to form a partnership. And in order to form a partnership, we have to have communication. But if we don't have communication, we can't move forward. And that's what we don't have. We can bring it to their attention all day. But once we bring it to their attention, the ball is in their court. And so every day there is issues with payroll. There's issues with unemployment. Because some drivers are on partial unemployment because they're not able to bring in the money that they were used to bringing in. And so it's a good thing that the government is providing those fundings, because if it were not for those fundings, people wouldn't be making it right now.
Right.
And we actually had to fight in order for the school board to do that, because they didn't want to do that at the beginning. And again, I'm going to show you how crazy it is, because it was circulating around that if people file for unemployment, that they would get, they'd be in trouble for filing unemployment, which they had every right legally to partake in, according to their situations. And so, again, find ourselves where it seems as if the board is more willing to do things to take away from us than they are willing to help us. And so that's you know, and we haven't received any answers. You shouldn't have to have a 4-year degree to figure out what you're going to be bringing home. And
Right.
that's why we lost a lot of people. A lot of people left to make less money, but have more stability.
Sure did.
Right.
Yep.
They can go to a McDonald's or a Burger King or a department store and count their pennies. They can count their money. They know what they're going to have coming in.
Exactly.
But when you don't know what's coming in, you got bills that's due, you don't know what you're going to see on your check. That's a hard way to live.
Right.
And the sad thing about it is that the people that we lost love their jobs. It's not about the money. It's not about that. And that's what we want the community to know. We're not divas. This thing is, you know, when you drive buses, you create relationships with families. There are people now. I have kids that I drove 2 years ago that's calling to check in on me to make sure how you doing?
Think your mic went out. You lost your signal because you lost the other signal on the phone. But what he's saying is that you develop relationships by having these kids on these buses, and you have them 4 years, 5 years sometimes. Sometimes you might have them over 10 years, according to where you have them. Whether you pick up another route and go, and that school goes to middle school or high school. So you have them for a long time. So it's the relationships that's formed over a long period of time. Let me see if I can add him back to the screen. You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm having a problem with this phone. I was trying to switch over to the laptop, but the laptop's acting crazy too.
Yeah, it's a weak screen.
All right.
But yeah, we got you. We got about 20 minutes left. A little under, yeah, about 20 minutes. I get off at 1:58. 12:58. The retirement. Let's talk a little bit about that. And then what we want to tell the people is that, you know, I got a question for you all. Did y'all see when Channel 11 came yesterday? That was yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did y'all see the news stream? Did they play it?
Yeah, they did play it.
Last night.
They did?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, how was it?
It was great. It was everything that we said, and they held out a little bit, but that's why we're here to talk about the other little bit that they held out. But for the most part, they talked about everything that we want them to know.
Okay. I was just concerned.
Yeah. Also, Julius, the report that the Barbara with Savannah Now, that article she wrote is very good. It was very objective, but it hasn't been released. So that's what we run into. And I think a lot of the drivers was nervous about the report coming out on news. But it seemed like whatever you do, I think when we spoke with the reporter,
Does the microphone work on your computer?
my concern was, dang, is there anybody in Savannah you can speak to that it doesn't get stopped prior to the board? Once the board get it. But I appreciate the opportunity that you're giving the drivers today, as it relates, giving them an opportunity to speak. I do want to say, because I know we're pressed for time, I don't want it to seem like they haven't done anything, because they have. There's been plenty of things that I've asked for and that I've gotten, I've received, the drivers have received. So I can pick up the phone, I can get Kegler, I can let her know something's going on. I have to be, very clear, and she will address it. I think what you have going on now is you got COVID-19, so it heightens everything. You have to be quick on it. You can't take it for granted, the drivers or the board. but I don't want it to, this to seem like they haven't responded to everything, to things that I've requested, because they have. But again, there's a disconnect, because if she says do it from here, or she says it's being done, it's actually, the driver says it's not, and it's actually not. So.
And that's the problem. If she gives an order, if Ms. Kegler gives an order down, and it's supposed to be something done by a supervisor, that supervisor should get it done. And if she's telling you that it's being that she gave the order for it to be done, then it needs to be done. We just need everybody in this city and all over this country to care. And that's one of the main concerns when we get in positions and we get into jobs that are on the upper level. We forget about the people on the lower level. And I'm not saying that they're doing that in the school board. So I'm talking about overall. I'm talking overall, wherever you at. You got to care about the people be on the bottom ring, because without them, nothing can be done anyway. You can't get anything done unless you get these people to bring the kids to the school, to clean the school, to cook the food. You got the parents who aren't making any money either. So you got a bunch of issues, and you got some people that are being paid very well. These people are being paid very well, but they went to school for it. They did what they were supposed to do. They went up the ladder and got these jobs, but they have to be concerned with the community. And that's what this show is about. This show and this platform is about what we do in our community. We're setting the narrative at All Things Relevant Media for everybody to understand that we have issues. We have issues in our community that needs to be addressed. There is no black agenda nowhere in this country, and we need to make one. So, it's things, these people, the school bus drivers, you always have ear here that's going to listen. You always have a door open here that isn't locked. So you can call me. You can call anybody on any of the 15 to 20 shows that we have that will be able to listen and put you out there so that your issues can be addressed. And I just wanted to make sure y'all hear that. Share it. Y'all go on All Things Relevant Media Network, All Things Relevant Media on Facebook, and like, share, and invite your friends to come along. And this is the only way that we can make sure that your voices are heard through this platform, because the media will come, and by the time they take it back, it's something totally different than what you said when they came out to videotape it. Because the media is for the schools being open. They are for it, believe that. And so we're talking about the safety of our kids. So I don't know where Kendrick went at, but here he comes back now. I think he's trying to get back on. Kendrick, is it working?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right, yeah, we're in business.
Okay. Always be on a laptop when y'all come back on, because I'm sure y'all will be back on after a while. I always be on the laptop or the desktop. These phones, they go out all the time. So retirement was the last thing I think we were going to talk about, right?
Right. I think it's fair that the drivers be under the same retirement as the teachers. They used to be years ago, but then they changed it. And the retirement that we have now, it's not a very good one. You would have to work a whole lot of years to get a good amount of money. I don't think there's anything
in particular.
Yeah, I just think that we need to be on the same retirement as the teachers.
Okay. Right, because we all run the same program. We just because we don't have a degree that says that we went to school to be a teacher doesn't mean that we should be treated any less than them. Give us the same respect that you're giving them. Just because we drive a bus and we sit behind a wheel or we sit in the back of the bus and pertain to the kids, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't get the same amount of respect.
Right.
So just to rebuttal off of what Ms. Beavers was saying earlier about Dr. Levette asking if we wanted to come back to work or we just didn't want to drive the bus. It has nothing to do with that at all. I'm pretty sure everybody is thankful for coming back to work, because we could have very well been sitting at home on the computer doing stuff online. But just give us the same respect that you're giving everybody else. That's all that we asking for. Give us the same amount of respect. Allow us to see what our money looking like. Give us back the spreadsheets that we were getting. We're not getting that. We don't understand it. I haven't understood that payroll since I started with the board.
Right.
I don't understand it. So, you pretty much got to figure out everything, all the odds and ends of what's going on of this company. So, and with unemployment, you shouldn't have to double up on the payments because you just refusing to put the time in or submitting it. We shouldn't have to wait. We shouldn't have to wait for that. As far as retirement, if you decide that you want to retire from this place, then okay. I'm not planning on retiring from here. I plan on doing something else.
Okay. So they are. Is anybody listening, Kendrick? And so I Ms. Beaver said that they are, and that Ms. Vanessa Kegler is doing what she's supposed to be doing. It's just that when it gets down the line, that those people who are supervisors are not. So I guess somebody needs to do some checks to find out what the problem is, because if she gives an order, it should be followed.
Yeah, but it's not that simple when you're working with them. They're going to reject some things that don't make sense to them. If it doesn't sound good to them, they're going to reject it. So everything is not going to always be, and whatever we put in their face and they don't agree with it, it's not going to be given to us.
Yeah, somebody said they can come up with an app real quick for us to check about Corona, but they can't get the payroll system changed.
And that's correct. They can come up with they can purchase all this high-tech security as far as video cameras and that new no touch thermometer, but we can't figure out the payroll.
And our thermometer read the same temperature every time, so I think that's
okay. Well, I think that y'all got a great unit, because y'all are united in what y'all are trying to do. Y'all are united. So y'all just got to stick together. If you said y'all got some talks, I think Ms. Beaver said she has some more talks with them coming up real soon. So we'll see what the talks do. But if I don't think that, well, you all are ready to do something on Wednesday, right, Kendrick? Kendrick?
Your mic.
All right, go ahead and say it again.
I say you all are ready to do something.
If
you all don't hear from these people, if y'all don't hear what y'all need to hear.
Yeah, we ready to stand together. We had a big turnout on last Thursday, and we've heard the voices of the drivers and the monitors, and we're ready to do whatever. All we waiting for is for the board to make a move on sitting down with us and taking us seriously for our concerns and make some changes.
Okay, so let's hope that we can avoid that. I know that a lot of people don't want the kids to go back to school. We got some comments here. They're just too lengthy to even put up. But I tried to put them all up. We're trying to get them all put up because a lot of people got a lot to say. Y'all got a lot of people watching it and behind you all. So y'all just keep up the good fight. You can't get nothing laying down. You got to ask for what. Nobody's going to give it to you unless you ask for it. So you got to ask for what you want. If y'all stick together, and I'm not advocating I'm not advocating for a strike. I'm not advocating for anything except for you all to be treated right and the safety protocols are followed so that y'all can be safe. So that's what we're going to do here. If y'all want to come back on the show next week and tell us whether there are any changes, or 2 weeks from now and tell us whether there are any changes, like I say, there's 15 shows. Y'all can get any of these shows at any time. Y'all can get
I
on
see
any of these
somebody
shows
say,
at any time
what are the
for
parents
the
concerned
situation.
about?
There's some noise.
Somebody need to mute their phone.
I think it was Mr. Rome. I just muted him.
Oh, okay.
Somebody
Okay.
said, what are the parents concerned about? That's a good question.
That is a good question.
Right. Well, and let me say this. I want to make sure that we get this out there, that this isn't just issues with drivers. This is board members across. This is drivers, monitors, cafeteria workers, everybody. The one thing that the COVID did do was bring us as staff together, because we were working alongside cafeteria workers and basic, just everyday conversation. We're finding out that we're having some of the same issues. And so it's crazy that you got a group of people with the same issues working for the same company. We're talking to each other, but we're not getting any answers from the top. And I remember from 2016 when they first came in, Miss Vicky and I sat down with them and told them that, hey, you need to communicate. Like, even if you don't have an answer, communicate that you don't have an answer, so that we know.
Never have an answer.
Communicate what steps you're taking. And so it's just all about communication, and it's not just with the drivers. It's across the board with all the employees.
Okay, we got a lot.
All the parents.
Go ahead.
I'm not a parent, but I think most parents are ready for their kids to go to school because they're not understanding some of the work. And then you have some parents that want to ship their kids off to school because they just clearly they need a break.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it would be nice if we had a parent on here who is sending their kid back to school.
Well, I think that's what we need to do the next show that we have you all on. Let's get some parents on also. Let's get about 3 or 4 parents on, and we'll have a discussion with the parents about their concerns also. I think that you all should be the first ones to get the vaccines, because you are the first contact. Y'all the first faces these babies see. Y'all the first faces. They get on the bus with you all. Y'all got to get them there safely. The teachers can't do nothing without y'all getting them there, unless they teach them virtually. So we got to be able to do something a little better than what it is. Y'all had a whole bunch of comments. I'm not even able to get all of them up here. So y'all got a great following. People are with you all. Y'all just got to be able to stand strong, ask for what you want. And, they're not going to give you something if you ask them for something that's too outwardly that they're not willing to give up. But they understand y'all concerns, I believe. And all you got to do is ask for it. We got about 3 minutes before we get up out of here. So, Mr. Kendrick, I want you to close it out, but I want you to know that you got a welcome to come here, bring whatever you want, and we'll give you the platform on. It's 1,000 shows that you could be on there. I mean, it's only 15 now. We have 20 before the end of March. But go ahead and tell them, give your closing.
All right. I definitely want you to understand that we understand that this is a community-wide effort. We're not placing blame on teachers. We're not placing blame on anybody. What we're trying to do is come to a consensus of what we can do to make things safer for our kids and for our community. And the only way that we can do that is if we have an open dialogue and some serious conversation about what we can do to make that happen. And then not only that, we need to have protocols in place that we know exactly what to do in the event that something happens, and not fly by the seat of our pants. We can't be reactive in this pandemic season that we're in. We can only be proactive. That's the only way to deal with this. We can't wait until something happens. If we wait until something happens, we could be adding to that number of people that we've lost due to the coronavirus.
the other thing is, you know, they spent a lot of money dealing with the buildings. They got the ventilation systems and all of that stuff that they said that they had, but there wasn't as much focus on the buses. And that is the first school board building that the kids will get on, is the bus. So we need the same energy that they put into the buildings to be put into the buses. I asked the question, what safety or what checks and balances do you have to ensure that what you set out for the people to do done? I couldn't get an answer. And so that's problematic. You can't just expect something without inspecting it. So you're going to have to come to 208 Bull Street, visit these yards, and make sure that what your plan is from the top is being executed from in the middle and in the lower management. Everybody has to be on the same page. It can't be you go to one person and you get a different answer. Everybody has to be speaking the same language in order for us to be absolutely safe.
Okay.
And until we get to that point, in trouble.
Okay, just contact me and we'll see whether we need to get back, me or Mr. Jerome, and we'll see whether we need to get back on one of the other shows. We got, like I said, it's 15 shows here. We're forming our own narrative here. We're making sure that the news is broadcast from our perspective, from the Black perspective. This is a Black media network. We want to make sure that our community is taken care of. We don't want to, we're not going to splice it and dice it and give a piece of it. We're going to give it all out all the time. Then you can well, Kendrick, thank you for coming on. Who else on the India and Isaac and Demetrius? Thank y'all for coming on also. And we hope to have y'all back soon. And
thank you.
We'll see whether these issues are resolved. But y'all share. Stay tuned for our next show. We have a Let's Talk About It comes on next. And we'll see y'all next Saturday. All right.